From 12 to 31, spent my entire life in the restaurant business. So my senior year of high school, my parents decided to sell the restaurant and move to Vegas to retire. And so I stayed in Calabasas my senior year while the rest of my family was gone, helped transition the restaurant, was literally doing payroll instead of going to English class. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was fun. It was a very different way of growing up. But as a kid in the restaurant every night, my dad would make sure we had dinner with somebody, one of the customers. And it was truly a selection of very successful entrepreneurs, business people, athletes, actors. And so as a kid, I just learned to shut up and listen how people got successful.
Which is rare for a broker.
Yeah, no, I'm not very good at shutting up and listening in general, but as a kid, you just listen to people's stories. And so what I quickly learned was the path we've all been shown, do well in school, go to college, get a good job, was not really what a lot of these people had done to get to where they were. So I was never one that was great at taking school very serious, but still got through it. Moved to Vegas literally after graduating high school. Didn't know anybody. Enrolled in the local community college, knocked out my generals and hated it. I was 18 in Vegas, didn't know anybody. So moved to San Diego, got all my generals out of the way down there, had a blast. And then moved back home as a junior, and UNLV wouldn't take any of my California credits. So my rebuttal was Stanford does. I mean, I can name everybody else, but let's just start with Stanford, right? And so I re-enrolled as a freshman, and my dad, after a year and a half of retirement, was ready to open a restaurant again.
Go back to work.
So he opened a restaurant in Henderson, just outside of Las Vegas proper. And I went back to work, dropped out of school, and just told myself I'd figure it out one day. And so I'm in my early 20s in Vegas. So essentially, we'd work at the restaurant, and then we'd go out at night. It was a fun time. And a bottle of booze at a nightclub went from $100 a bottle to like $400 a bottle overnight. And so all of us fellas that were going out dropping $40 a night quickly could no longer afford to go out. So for me, I always knew the easy kind of path would be just taking over the restaurant. Would have made a nice living, but you have no life. Truly have no life. And so I wanted to find a career where I could have weekends and holidays off. That was literally my motivation. And I was serving tables. And so anytime customers would come in, I'd always ask them what they do. And these three guys would always come in talking about, drinking good wine. They're drinking Opus and Camus and talking about going to the Montage and Newport all the time. And so I asked them what they did, and they're like, "We're in real estate." I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys have open houses on the weekend. You can't." And they're like, "We're not in that kind of real estate." So I had no idea what commercial real estate was. That was kind of my entry into getting an understanding of it. So I asked them, "How do you get into it?" They said, "You got to get a real estate license." And so I did. And then I asked them if they'd hire me, and they said no. And they were a few guys at Colliers.